In this video, we'll touch a bit on how to generate new research ideas. First and foremost, you should be picking something that you find interesting. The great thing about research is that you get to be in a position where you choose what you want to research. However, there's always been this kind of looming pressure in scientific research for immediate applications. This touches again on the difference between basic and applied research. In basic research, there's no immediate or apparent goal, whereas in applied research, it immediately addresses a practical problem. But that shouldn't scare you away from basic research if that's what interests you. For instance, Heinrich Hertz, a German physicist, studied light and electricity. He came to a very bold conclusion on the utility of this topic. He said, "It's of no use whatsoever. We just have these mysterious electromagnetic waves that we cannot see with the naked eye, but they're there." Well, it's hard to imagine one aspect in life today that hasn't benefited from this. There are true virtues of basic research, and we never really know what will end up being useful. I could ask you, what is a baby good for? Apart from being cute, babies can't really do much on their own, but that doesn't mean that they won't be useful down the road when they grow up. The overall point here is to follow your talents and interests, regardless of whether that research is applied or basic. Now that we've touched on reasons to pick a topic that you're passionate about, here's a short video on some tips for developing a good research topic.
In this video, you will learn how to develop a good research topic. To start out, let's first answer the question why it's important to know how to develop a good research topic. Think of it this way. During your time as a student, and perhaps even later, you will probably write a good number of research papers. While some instructors might provide you with a list of research topics to choose from, others might not. You will have to choose your own topic. So, what can you write about? Well, let's first answer the question, what makes a topic really good? 3 things worth to mention here. First, it's a topic that strongly interests you. This is very important. Make sure that the topic you pick, the topic you will write about, is a topic that interests you, fascinates you, that you want to talk about. Really, there's nothing worse than spending a lot of time writing about a topic that bores you. Second, make sure your topic is creative. What do we mean by that? Well, there are some topics that have just been written about over and over and over again. Can you come up with a topic that perhaps hasn't been covered that much? Try to pick something that is creative and exciting to you and your peers. Writing about Shakespeare's dramas is great, but that topic in itself has been covered extensively. So try to find something that might be a little more creative than that. And third, speaking of Shakespeare's dramas, make sure you pick something that is not too broad. Look at your assignment prompt. How many pages are you supposed to write? If you get a 5-page paper as an assignment, well, Shakespeare's dramas is just going to be a little bit too broad. So make sure that the topic you choose fits the scope of your paper. Sometimes it can be really difficult to find a topic that is not too broad. Here are a couple of words of advice on what to do when your topic seems too broad. Let's say you are in an environmental science class. Your teacher gives you this assignment prompt. Write a research paper on a topic dealing with a current environmental issue. Your paper should not exceed 5 pages and should be based on a topic that strongly interests you. Well, you say, that's no problem. I know exactly what to write about. I saw the show the other day on TV, and it talked about the effects of deforestation on gorillas in Africa. I think that's a great topic. I know it interests me, and it's creative. So, let's write about it. Well, not so fast. Remember, your paper is only supposed to be 5 pages. How are you going to fit that topic into a 5-page paper? That's going to be difficult. So what could you do instead? The key is to add more context. For example, You could add some geographical context to your paper. Is there a geographic region or country in which gorillas are specifically affected by deforestation? Perhaps you want to focus more on a historical context. Is there a certain time aspect you want to write about? Perhaps the time when deforestation really started to affect gorillas. And third, with this topic, you could also add biological context. Perhaps there's a specific subspecies of the gorilla that you're interested to write about. So when we combine all three contexts and incorporate them into the original topic, this is what we get. Something like current effects of deforestation on the mountain gorilla in southwest Uganda. We thereby incorporate the historical context, the biological context, and the geographical context. Adding context truly is a great way of narrowing your topic.
After you think you've nailed down a topic that you're interested in studying, the next step is to perform a literature search. It's important to read through papers that other people have previously published to see if your idea has already been tested or not. It's also a great way to get new ideas from people who are doing similar types of research. They might have measured something in a way that you haven't thought of before, or included critical methodological details that you might have otherwise missed. I think sometimes there's a misconception about what research has to be. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Isaac Newton said, "If I have seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants." Essentially, you don't need to come up with a groundbreaking new idea that will disrupt the field. Science, rather, is based off of systematic extensions. You change a few things about a study and you run it again. You tweak the design a little bit and you run it again. Science is slow, but eventually we build up a substantial pool of evidence that we can take a step back from and synthesize together. The best way, in my opinion, to start a literature review is by searching through online databases such as PsycInfo or Google Scholar. You'll first want to search through professional journals. These types of journals publish original research articles. There are tons of journals on such a wide range of topics. Psych Science, Nature, Psychonomic Bulletin and Review are just a few examples in a sea of academic journals. There are different types of articles that journals typically publish. The first one is an empirical research report. This is typically an experiment that a group of researchers run using the scientific method, and then they get to write up the results and publish it as this type of article. Review articles typically describe or synthesize multiple empirical articles on a given topic, and they connect them and tie them together with different findings in the field. And theoretical articles essentially are articles that propose new ideas or theories that other people can use as the basis to go out and test specific predictions that would either support or refute that new idea or theory. The one common link between these different types of articles is that they all undergo what is known as peer review. They are peer-reviewed articles. When a group of researchers want to publish a paper, they submit it to a given journal. Then, a few experts in the field agree to review and critique the paper. Sometimes papers get rejected, sometimes they're sent back to authors to revise, and then eventually they can get published. This way, the research community has a say in each article that is published, which helps aid in the credibility and the research findings that you eventually read in those journals. In literature reviews, you can also look at scholarly books. These are different than popular science books. They're written by researchers still, but they're mainly focused towards other researchers. Scholarly books often also go through peer review and are written by experts in the field. I mentioned using PsycInfo, which is maintained by the APA, and it's typically available through university libraries. Here you can see a link where you can search for the PsycInfo database. Google Scholar is also a great resource to search for primary articles and works similarly to the regular Google search engine. With these databases, you can search for the titles of articles, keywords from the article, what journal it was published in, the publication dates, and many more options. Okay, that's about it on generating research ideas. Make sure to read chapters 1 and 2 in the book, and we'll see you next time.